This week on Feedback Friday, we have comments from you, from the masses, if you will, regarding Charlotte, Finn Balor, Chris Jericho, NXT, and more. Here are our responses along with the discussion on the demotion of Roman Reigns, right now on Feedback Friday. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Feedback Friday for Friday, August 5th, 2016. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. David, how has your August been so far?
Humid.
It has been a hot one, a scorcher, if you will, here in the depths of summer.
It's brutal.
How have you been keeping yourself cool? Because there's nothing cool about you.
I'm usually pretty cool. I eat my apples because they're, lots of water in them. I have air conditioning, and it's on blast.
Conditioned air?
Yeah, I'm not built for heat.
What are you built for? And how am I built for heat?
Well, you have less hair on top.
It does make me sleek and aerodynamically smooth,
exactly.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about smooth, but I'm built for, I'm like a Escalade for cruising.
Folks, since the WWE draft a couple of weeks ago, we've discussed how this guy, David, has found it difficult to comprehend the early pick of Charlotte by the Raw team.
We're still talking about this?
A point he continues to make and that you continue to comment on. You still talked about it last week, thus leading us to more comments from our audience.
Okay.
And the first one came from a YouTube user by the name of Ryan Dawn, who said, and I quote, "In regards to Charlotte, within the confines of the storyline, David is right. She's not a number 2 pick, and it's crazy that anyone thinks otherwise. From that aspect, it's not believable. Behind the scenes, however, all the superstars are going wherever Vince McMahon wants them to go, so it doesn't really matter what order they went in. The number 2 pick for her was just an equal opportunity / women's rights matter,
I didn't say all
which
that.
Isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just a difference of opinion between David Hero and Vince McMahon. Do you ever think you'd be having a difference of opinion on this show with the CEO of WWE?
Of course. Why wouldn't I?
Basically agreeing. However, do you think it was a quote-unquote women's rights issue to show Charlotte so high? I think there's some basis to it. I mean, Stephanie is very active in a lot of women's rights things, as is Linda. I think the company is trying to make that point as well. They've been focused on the women's division. They no longer call them divas in a show of respect.
Why is this becoming all about feminism and politics all of a sudden?
I think you've read as far into it as it can be read. I mean, this person was actually agreeing with you.
I know. I'm talking about you right now.
I'm focusing on one element of the statement. No, in order to spur discussion. That's what hosts do.
At the end of the day, it was a terrible number 2 pick.
You're going to stand behind that.
Good God,
continuously.
Yes. Yeah.
Even after her performance on Raw this past Monday night.
Yeah. Did she win the championship on Raw?
No, but she will at SummerSlam.
No, she will not.
Care to make it interesting?
Of course.
We also discussed Finn Balor's readiness for the main event scene on WWE Raw. And YouTube user Michael Miner chimed in on the issue saying, and I quote, my thoughts on DWHS, this is from Primetime last week, I think that Finn Balor is ready because he has held the NXT Championship since last year at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn and then losing it at a live show against Samoa Joe. To me, I think he is ready. But one thing I can agree on is that he needs to bring in Gallows and Anderson and go heel and start the Balor Club.
Then he's not ready. Because if he needs a posse, he's not ready. He's not.
He needs nothing at this point.
Yes, he does. Dude, you guys cannot compare a 1-year run as NXT champion in buildings that max out at 1,400 seats to being a top guy on Monday Night Raw. And here's how I know I'm right.
What? The Trumpisms you drop are amazing. Here's how I know I'm right. Believe me, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Mick Foley does an interview, talking about Finn Balor, saying he didn't get the reaction he thought he'd get because the audience isn't aware of him yet. Okay? He said maybe 1/3 of the audience knew who Finn Balor was when he came out. Right? Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I agree, but it's bizarre because it's different from the other NXT talents that we have seen come into WWE in the past.
And then you saw the tweets between Jim Ross and myself.
I still have you blocked. I can't handle your.
But your other account watches.
Yeah, and the interns they no longer report to me your tweeting activities.
I tweeted Jim Ross. I says, hey, at JR's barbecue, would you?
It's BBQ. JR's
barbecue. But I don't do phonetics, whatever you call it. Phonetics, abbreviations. Phonics. That's what I meant. And we just talked about, you can be an international superstar for 15 years, but coming to the WWE is a different brand. It's a different microscope.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, will Finn Balor will he be fine? I'm sure he will be. But to say he's ready to be a co-main event of SummerSlam? No way. Nobody's ready for that. Sting wasn't ready for WrestleMania.
In the same context as Finn Balor, Sting wasn't ready for WrestleMania, you're saying?
Sting said he wasn't ready for what happened.
After the fact. We're talking about going into the event. You're talking about what Sting said after the event. After the experience, after being in front of 100,000 or 80,000 people, whatever it was. This is saying that Finn Balor is not ready to be on that stage. Sting never said that. Sting was not at that point.
I'm not saying Finn Balor shouldn't be on the stage. I'm saying I think everyone is assuming he is buttoned up, going to hit on all cylinders, and be mentally prepared for what he's going to be doing. It's a different animal.
Is it fair to say, though, that in the WWE developmental camp called NXT nowadays, that stars like Finn Balor are more prepared than any star would have ever been in the past to be on that stage?
But you're going in the ring with one of the top guys in the company, and Seth Rollins, for the biggest prize in the company. Or now the biggest prize in the universe, if you want to be technical. That's a lot of pressure on a young kid.
It is.
Yeah.
There it is.
He's a young kid. How old is he? 30?
He's near 35, I believe.
He's not 35.
He's older than you think he is. He's older than you give him credit for. You use your demeaning title of kids to talk about these young stars who are coming up into the business.
Gene Okerlund calls you kid. Pat Patterson called you kid in Vegas.
Folks, we've got another comment on this, and this came from Brandon Yelverton, who said, and I quote, "I really wasn't expecting such a huge push for Finn Balor out of the gate. I don't think he wins the Universal title, though. At least not until the end of the year."
You know what? Here's my thing. If Finn Balor does not beat Seth Rollins, what do you do with him after that? You put a rocket on his back, you shoot him straight to the moon, and then he can't even put the flag in the moon. You know what I mean? It's like he needs to beat Seth Rollins. Otherwise,
maybe he will.
He can't.
I think everyone thought Seth Rollins was going to win that matchup at Money in the Bank, right? I think we did.
I didn't. I booked Dean Ambrose to win. Remember?
No, I don't remember.
You should. You got points out of it. I didn't.
It's a runaway train now as far as points go. You have no chance of winning the draft.
Oh, we'll see.
It's just like your candidate, Donald Trump, who is now trailing in the polls in Georgia, of all places, the reddest of reddest states. Your meteoric rise will become your...
Don't say Donald Trump is my candidate.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I read a Facebook post about how you supported him.
No.
You guys watched that video together of the money exchange in Iran?
That was with your president, not mine. He's my president, but
we all have
your
a
president. Yeah. Explain that.
The video that didn't exist that you and your candidate saw?
The ransom he paid.
I think it's been explained, and it was explained.
Oh, bro.
It was explained when they publicly told us about the money they were paying Iran when they did it in January.
You don't think it was ransom?
I think it was convenient.
It's not
ransom is this. I'm kidnapping you. Give me money to get you back. Now, no one would do that to you, of course.
Somebody would kidnap me.
Well, $20 is a lot of money to some people. That is, then you come up with this money out of nowhere and you pay the ransom.
Wait.
When you are repaying a debt, a loan, because we haven't talked to said country in decades, and now one of the conditions of the three things that are going on with that country right now is to pay this loan or pay this money back
with unmarked bills.
Sure, why not?
Dude.
Because they can't participate in the global markets because of the sanctions we have against them as a country?
It's funny, but they got money from all over the world in that $400 million.
That is certainly not for this show. And plus, you're not listening to any of the factual explanations that I've given you. You're making assumptions, much like a lot of people out there.
watched the
And look,
news.
don't be upset because your candidate is losing.
He is losing.
And making up fake videos to talk about. He's in town today, by the way. I think he's in Green Bay.
Really?
Uh-huh. You're not going up to see him?
We should go.
I don't have my Kevlar.
You'll be fine. I'll be with you.
You know, when we're going to take a break, when we come back, we're going to talk about Roman Reigns, David Hero, and his demotion, if you will.
It's not an emotion. Stop it.
Well, it's a comparison to talk about and a potential demotion when we come back here on Feedback Friday. Welcome back to Feedback Friday here for August 5th, 2016. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. And before we took that time out, we were talking about Finn Balor. But we also had a comment from a YouTube user by the name of Angry Mark who said, basically in summary, how is it that people are so excited about Finn Balor's ascension to the main event at SummerSlam? And those same people felt that another guy, Roman Reigns, was being shoved down our throats. Isn't this the same thing?
Well, yeah, but here's the difference, is that Finn Balor is more relatable to the average wrestling fan.
How so?
Because he's 5'10", 190 pounds.
They told us that once.
He did. Have they said it again since?
I can't recall.
I don't think they have. I don't think they have. And Finn Balor does more flips than Roman Reigns. He does that backwards kick, the Pele kick.
So is it or is it not a fair comparison of the two?
Oh, it's absolutely a fair comparison.
Should the fans be upset or should they be as against Finn Balor as they are and have been against Roman Reigns?
No, because we live in an entitled society, and the fans feel that they're entitled to have Finn Balor, the demon, with his fancy entrance, as opposed to
which
Roman
a third
Reigns.
of the audience only knows about, according to what you said earlier.
That's what Mick Foley said. Is Mick Foley wrong? He's there. He's at Raw. He's the GM on Raw.
Yes, he is.
He talks about everything.
Yes, he does.
He does. Even Ric Flair thinks it's a bad idea to push Finn Balor over Roman Reigns. Did you see that interview? I do my research during
you sure do.
I do.
Oh, you sure do. You spend yes, you do your research.
I click on the 2-minute videos and watch everything.
You do your research, absolutely. Yes, it's like how did you get through school when you were assigned books to read? I mean, you can't just read the back cover and actually give a report.
Cliff Notes.
Who is Cliff and why did he take notes?
He got me through school.
All right, let's go on to the next comment here, coming to you all from out in our social media world, if you will. And this one is basically the new era, talking about the new era. And YouTube user SGC, had an interesting comment about last week's...
What does SGC stand for?
I don't know. About last week's Feedback Friday saying, and I quote, "I may be in the minority, but I think the WWE is catering way too much to their hardcore audience. Finn Balor, who hadn't been on the main roster more than a day, became the #1 contender for the world title with no build-up whatsoever. Over on SmackDown, Dolph Ziggler becomes the #1 contender after being irrelevant for 2 years now. And just like Balor, Ziggler's push comes out of nowhere with no build-up. For weeks now, David has been referring to the NXT talents as kids, which is, well, actually, no, we'll get to that in a minute. But let's go back to the end of that comment. The quotations are out of place there. About the WWE focusing too much on their quote-unquote hardcore audience with the push of some of these talents.
Well, they are. I wish they would have done some vignettes on Finn Balor before he got there. I mean, they've done a better job of reintroducing Shelton Benjamin on SmackDown than they introduced Finn Balor on Raw.
But the way they did with both was they had the hot shot, if you will, on Monday and Tuesday of the first shows with Balor winning and Ziggler getting the shot. And then the next week, they tried to tell the story a little bit.
Can I just say something? Because I know this is going to get all construed and kabukied and flipped and smacked.
The great kabuki. is not even part of this
It's about
discussion.
being sprayed in the face. And
Green or red mist?
it can be whatever color you want. My thing is, I think Finn Balor is a tremendous talent. I really do. I really do. I think he is fantastic. I just think he's getting this too quick. I have no problem with them building to get there. You know, maybe by SummerSlam next year, give him a year-long build, make sure that the fans can truly appreciate the character and have a connection with him. But out of nowhere?
Like the RKO.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm going to leave that be. We're out of time for that particular comment.
We're never out of time.
And
This show can go on for an hour.
For weeks now, David Hero has been referring to, and including earlier tonight, the NXT talents as quote-unquote kids.
Yes.
Which is something I have challenged you on repeatedly. Well, YouTube user by the name of PM Products wanted to let us know that of some recent comments that may substantiate that title, pointing out that on the latest episode of WWE Ride Along, Chris Jericho refers to an NXT superstar as one of the NXT kids.
How about that?
I guess Hero's not the only one.
See? How does that make you feel? That Chris Jericho and I have a lot in common.
Do you?
Yeah.
You play for a rock band? You look like rock star?
I could be in a rock band.
All kinds of tattoos?
Sure, I got tattoos.
Former champion in all companies?
former
First ever
champion.
unified champion?
Well, I unified some stuff.
So what else? What else do you have in common with Chris Jericho?
We have the same psychology of wrestling and understanding.
Folks,
thank
you for all those comments, and remember, in order to have your comment considered for usage here on this program, all you got to do is to comment here on our YouTube channel or even on our Twitter page at PWR Show on Twitter, and we will go ahead and select the most thought-provoking comments each week.
Is it
and share
thought-provoking
them.
or just provoking? You got to make up your mind.
So what else are we provoking? We don't want to poke the bear.
No. Don't poke the bear.
Tomorrow night, it's an all-new edition of Primetime Television. We look back at Raw, SmackDown. We've also got hot news along with Diamond to the Ring, DWHS, and much more. That's tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. on Fight TV. That's FITE. And 10 o'clock p.m. on My24 Milwaukee and YouTube. Until then, for that one, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you for tuning in here to Feedback Friday. We'll see you tomorrow on Primetime.